I just finished watching or listening to while driving O'Shea Duke Jackson talk about the rapper Cocaine from the West Coast, who is telling a story on a podcast that he's never told before about how after working in the studio and producing a song for P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, Brother Love, was taken to a party. And the first and second floors of this party was no big deal. But then they made their way up to the third floor. And this third floor of the party, he refers to as a hit district. And he looked over and saw that there were men engaging in some sort of intimacy. He didn't say what kind of intimacy, whether it was hugging, kissing, touching, and that P. Diddy pulled out Trey. Where did he get the tray from? I don't know. Is this P. Diddy's third floor club, or did he just have access to the floor? And now this miraculous tray of ecstasy is brought out. So they bring out this tray of ecstasy to this guy, and he declines. He's like, no, I don't mess with that. And then he looks around the room. He felt very uncomfortable and said, yo, man, I'm ready to go. And Diddy takes him, drives him, which I find interesting because from what I know, Diddy has drivers. Okay? Every time I've seen Diddy, he's always had a driver. Even in his Lamborghini convertible. His Lamborghini convertible, he had a driver driving him around. So he's saying that Diddy drove him there and now is driving him back to wherever he took him. Didn't say, yo, let me call your car, none of that. And everyone is talking so badly about how this man is trying to convert or turn on or turn out a person by taking them to a place. And they were unknown as to what was going to happen. So he says. He never really elaborated, or neither was the question truly asked of the man. What were you told that you were doing and going? Or were you just down for the ride and you ended up somewhere, you felt uncomfortable and you left? And I'm not saying that Diddy's not the guy who will put you in a situation and try to have some insurance policies on you, that person, because this is nothing new. This is very J. Edgar Hoover style. I'm going to have something on everyone. And if they don't do it, then I'll manufacture the situation where it can be recorded and used against them. We've seen so many John Grisham books were like that. So many literatures like that. So much of the internet promotes this, what is obviously a reality for most people. But I'm just sick and tired of all these people talking about they mad about this man and what happened with him and Cassie and the adults. Now we are adults getting mad about being at the freak-off party. Come on, man. I don't know a man that wouldn't have been in that freak-off party to be around Cassie. I don't even think that a man exists that would say no to being with Cassie. Maybe in some sort of group setting, he might have felt very uncomfortable and needed the doors to be closed so he can handle that on his own. That, I'm saying, is also a possibility. I don't know if everything has to be in front of everyone. But for this woman, Cassie, to have given of herself willingly as an adult is kind of bothering me that everyone is just talking so badly about this people. Like we're dealing with a group of people that can't say, I'm uncomfortable, I want to go. I've been to places that made me uncomfortable and I left. Now what do? I get on the internet and I talk about the day that I felt uncomfortable with P. Diddy. The day P. Diddy made me uncomfortable. Is that the new titles that we're going to have on every single podcast of all these people that feel that they have in some way or some shape been wronged by a man who those parties where you can have sex with an actual 10. He's influencing you, an adult, to do drugs and partake in ecstasy. You're an adult. You don't have to take anything you don't want to take. You don't have to be at these parties. You can leave. You can walk away. I'm like super sick and tired of all this rhetoric and all this mammy talk about a grown man having freak-off parties. How many freak-off parties did Hugh Hefner have? Under the grottos. Come on. This is absolutely ridiculous. Everything we've been hearing is ridiculous. All these fake arrests and mules and all this stuff is not even real. This is just childish. Everybody's trying to eat on these YouTube streets off of this algorithm that represents Diddy. I think Diddy's a great man. I think Diddy did a lot for a lot of people. I've met the drivers of Diddy, was friends with them. I know of at least 2 personal assistants that he had. And I know that it was one of the worst experiences for them as a personal assistant, that he was so intense and so hard to work for, but that they said that they can now work for anybody. You work for Diddy a year, you can run a Fortune 500 company. So there, and it just troubles me, all of what's happening right now. It doesn't make any sense for people to be coming at a man that had adults. There was one thing when it was that Weinstein situation. These were children. This is Diddy. These are adults. These are adult women and men participating in freak-off and parties and good times. What are we saying? That there's no more of these parties allowed, and that if they are, you can't be a mogul and do it? You have to be low end of the totem pole and have it? Come on, that doesn't make any sense. The elite has always thrown parties where sex has happened. Women have been popping out of birthday cakes since forever. When I was a kid, I used to watch The Love Boat, and they used to have people popping out of cakes in The Love Boat. What do you think the girl does that pops out of a cake? Why are we so judgmental? For YouTube clicks? For likes? For AdSense? There's a man here who is possibly fighting for his life. No one wants to be done like R. Kelly was done. But now we're talking about a man is being charged with, not even charged, a man is being accused in the public eye about such ordinary things that are going on in these worlds, in these rooms. Cat Williams talked about going into a room and he saw Professor Ogilvy. That's how they get down in these parties. Certain rooms ain't for everybody, and certain rooms might have a hidden camera. You have to be very, very cautious what you do in these rooms at these mansion parties or at these basement parties. There are women out there that want to know what it's like to be with more than one man at a time, and they're usually in the U.S. Army. Those women in the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy are getting trains ran on them, and they have husbands and wives. Come on. And the only thing in the military that they stress on is that there's no higher ups, because they don't want, anyone to say that you were above their rank. So all these people that are at the same rank are having these freak-off parties. So there's a freak-off party going on right now in your town. There's a freak of them. What about all these things? Remember, even Law and Order had it where there were people passing the keys. You pick up a set of keys, you know this is the person you're going to be with tonight. We are then going to now bitch and moan about what you willingly did. You willingly did something, and now you have what? Regret? That's what your priest is for. That's what your therapist is for. That's not what the internet is for. I'm just over it. I'm just over all these mammies and all these men talking like they're mammies. I'm so over it. All these men sound like straight up mammies, sound like straight up Karen, talking about Diddy in such a bad way. And I would put money that they would be very, very open to a freakum opportunity with a woman that looked like Cassie. Look at that woman that was in Star Trek, 7 of 9. She divorced her husband because he had her in a group sex situation that she didn't want to do any longer. And he was like a politician. This is how these politicians get down. What about Kim Kardashian, her first husband? He had her in sex party in Beverly Hills, where there was multiple men, willing adults. She got out of that situation. Are we to villainize these parties? Like, Diddy took this man to a party. The guy felt uncomfortable, so he left. This wasn't a party that was thrown by Diddy. This is a place that this was already going on. He just had access to the phone where you and I probably wouldn't have access without a membership or something like that. What about Taj? The biggest nightclub that I think they trade on the stock market. Taj is a club that goes monthly every couple of weeks. Huge party. But it's 500 people swinging. I know one of the bartenders that would work those parties. No joke, it's intense and insane, and she never ever participated in it. Is she now going to sue Posh for having her exposure to that? And she saw too much, and it bothered her? Is that next? Listen, man, freakum parties, sex parties, orgies, never going to stop. This is going to keep on happening. Let's stop playing this game on a man's whole entire life. Like, the public eye is just so ruthless. He's doing this for AdSense. I'm over it. I'm so over it. And I'm not doubting that he did half the things they said he did. But he did it with adults. So what? So what? And then I saw Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan is talking about how he grew up with Diddy's mother and father. My father grew up with Diddy's father in Harlem. And he's saying how this is learned behavior, so to speak. As if they had their child around this kind of stuff. Get out of here. As if the tree doesn't fall far, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree is what Dapper Dan was trying to say. Instead of saying, I knew his mother and father, they were great people. I can't imagine their son doing anything that someone was consenting to. That's all he should have said. You allowed to take away consent. You know that. We all know that. I taught my son that, and he's only 13, that if in any way, shape, or form you're with a woman and she in the middle of you being with her tells you stop, that means you stop. You don't continue. Consent to be taken away at any time. We are all aware of that. And the whole thing, I guess, is about secretly videotaping a person. How do we know that all the videotapes were secret? How do we know any of them were secret? How do we know that this particular room, if you go in here, is going to be cameras, and they were probably showing out for the camera. That's what women do when you pull out a camera. They show out for the camera. They want to show you how far it can go and for how long. You want tippy toes? Not a problem. Watch this. Let's not play that game. I'm so over this attack on this man. Cassie and this guy, Little Rod. I heard, I didn't read it, but I heard someone else read it. And what they read, I think it's absolutely ridiculous to imagine that this is what this man is doing. Little Rod. If that's even his name. I don't even remember. I might even have the name wrong. But you guys need to please stop. I've had enough. You should have enough. I'm sick of it. As if there's a man out there that wouldn't take a go at Cassie. Are you out of your mind? These male prostitutes were hired to okay, so what? They were hired to be with a willing participant in a freak-off. And then let me also say this that's been on my mind heavy. I saw a documentary about Colombia and how the Colombian, they were talking about the Colombian jail scene and how there was some sort of party in jail, and as one of the perks for being in this particular jail was that you get to do a line, and we're talking about a line as thick as my thumb and about this long, about 7 inches long. And this line, everyone just went up they just walked, and mind you, the guards were there, and it was everybody was happy, everybody waited their turn, and they all took this huge line. There was so many, there was 100, 200 lines. Everybody walked up with their straw, and they maybe even passed the straw back to the person behind them, and this was part of that jail culture. But then they also talked about the nightlife culture and how it's still a thriving part of the culture, this cocaina. And one of the things they said before this show ended, and this was about almost 2 years ago, was that a new drug that's taking over is the pink cocaina, that cocoa. It was pink, and I remember thinking, wow. And then they even said how it will be hitting, how they're trying to get it in the States. So you have all these guys that are going to, like, people get married in Colombia and Mexico, that you have to stay like a week or something like that, and you can get married. I don't know if it's Colombia, I know Mexico is like that, but all these guys, these white men that were visiting Colombia were being introduced to the pink stuff. So now you have this whole thing all over every news place about the pink stuff from Diddy, pink. So now they're just not quenching, they're creating this thirst now for this pink Diddy stuff. So to me, this is just some sort of sick push to the pink instead of the white. And I don't know all of how it's done, but I'm spitballing it here, but I believe that this is part of this. How do we get the people to want the pink stuff? How do we get them to do that? Well, let's say that Diddy had a mule that was bringing that exclusively over, which was a lie. There was no mule. It was proven that the guy had whatever he had in his pocket personally. You can't have a little pinch of something and then claim that, well, they did do that. They claimed that it was a mule situation, and this mule will have some personal stuff in their pocket. But the pink, they kept on talking about the pink. That's what it's called. They kept on talking about the pink. They wouldn't let it go. So I'm like, I remembered that thing that I heard 2 years ago. So now our streets will be flooded with what is probably fake and what is probably and will be or could be real. And it's that pink, that Diddy pink stuff. They're going to create the market for it. They're going to create that market. It's going to be done. It's being done right now as we speak. He is the catalyst to to be, their nose are going to be twitching, thinking about that pink. And this is how things get sold. And let's not act like this man has not made $1.5 billion as a brand ambassador to Ciroc, pretending that he owns it. Let's not pretend. Let's not ask each other that this man can't sell a product. He had the #1 cologne for how many years? Unforgivable. Beating out Chanel and Lagerfeld and all these brands, ripping them to shreds. Couldn't keep it on the shelf. The same way he sold that is the same way he'll be able to sell, and just by the accusation of it. Just the accusation of him having access to this pink stuff is definitely going to create the desire for it. How about now? That would suck. It's interesting that people, they say you shouldn't defend the person you don't know, but should I accuse that person? I'm going by the stories that's being told to the people, and the stories are trash. What else we got?
Somebody's talking about your mic. I think people left your mic. Adjust your mic. Something blocking your mic.
Right, just adjusting.
Boom, ask how you feeling.
Boom, what's up? I could be better if I had people around me that dedicated everything to getting things done instead of being lazy. I got lazy folks around me that's ruining my fucking businesses. And, you know, no man is an island, I'll tell you that much. I can't do everything on my own. I need a team. What else?
That's it.
All right, sorry about the mic, y'all. It happens. That's life. Stop talking about Diddy, even if you know him and don't know him. It's enough is enough. Grown-ass folk having a good old time. Now they got regrets. What? Diddy took me to the 3rd floor of a party and I asked him to take me home, and he did. What's the problem? Sounds like a gentleman to me.